land management and governance system, the whole activities, all agricultural activities, productivity, marketing, community awareness, skill development needs multi-partnership agreement, engagement or in the interventions, and therefore these IPs or implementing partners selected or coming together have different disciplines. In our project, there are population health and environment who is very skilled in participatory forest management, land use, and land restoration in organization by the government. So we are working together with them. And all this land degradation mapping and others, also another NGO we have for business concerns of production and productivity or products of the area. International coffee partners are also part of our project. So there are different interests, different activities that complement one another, that need synergy to tackle all these multi-challenges together, and this brings the one's end at the beginning of the another, and end-to-end achievement is demanded, number one. Secondly, previously not part of this, such a type of organization, the government is highly demanding the pilot model activities for replications. Currently, with this willingness, the government organizations, both the Ethiopian Coffee and Tea Authority, authorized for the whole coffee value chain, plus extension system, and the Agricultural Research Institute of Ethiopia, who are also mandated for developing farmers-friendly action research, participatory research for this innovation and technology generation, are also very interested, and therefore all these interests packed in one to achieve the same goal. Even though the goal is single broad, but it needs multi-actor to come together, and this developed interested, and all those interests are shared, discussed, the formality is formulated, agreement is reached, private and joint responsibilities are listed and agreed, and therefore all this, the main thing is just to lift our farming communities and to conserve our nature, to biodiversity, to restore our land in the face of climate change for future sustainability, to transfer the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve to be conserved in the principles of UNESCO standard. This was some of the highlights I can mention.
Thank you, Bekele. I hear complementarities, I hear common goals, and I hear expertise. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you the same question. Why did you start this partnership?
There are different reasons as to why we started this partnership. And one of the main things was we all have different expertise and different areas where we are good at. And so some of us, for example, Women in Coffee has a better reach in terms of directly finding the women that are involved in the coffee industry and also understanding their situations, and also having been able to work with women in different levels of the value chain. We have an understanding of what the problem is, and so we have better reach to women. And so in this regard, we were able to contribute to the partnership. As you said, when it comes to partnership, it has to be a positive plus gain. And others, such as ECTA, has better infrastructure and also better reach in terms of extension provision. And so we used that infrastructure and that political power in order to be able to empower women. And so the other stakeholders, such as EFD, has better knowledge in terms of forestry, and so it was important to not duplicate somehow an exchange of knowledge from people that have already done this in South and Central America, that have better knowledge in some regards in terms of inclusion of gender and equality. And so it was more of an efficiency and effectiveness to make sure that all partners come together and can provide what they're specialized in and what they have expertise on. And so it becomes less of a duplication of efforts and a better way to reach women and make sure the project goals are achieved.
Perfect. I like, she's saying something very important. Don't duplicate efforts, right? This is so important in a partnership. Thank you very much. Julius, welcome. There is a mic over there. The question for you is the same. Why did the project start this partnership?
Yes, thank you very much, and apologies, I was a little bit outside. So, partnerships are a very important thing that we have discussed this morning. And I want to start by saying that for our project, we have an integrated approach. Our project is quite an integration of different aspects in the value chain of livestock and integrated landscape management. So to bring together, to be able to better, to be able to better coordinate the activities within the project and move towards impact, we really needed to bring different actors, because there is no one organization with expertise that is required in implementing an integrated program. So that was one thing. Number two is the key role that government plays. If you look at our project, we have several government actors, and these are entities that are authorized in a law or in terms of procedure, especially when you look at research, for example. Working with a reputable research organization which is designated by government is quite important in actually generating knowledge and disseminating this knowledge. People will have more confidence in that. One other partner that we work with, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Services, is an authorized entity in the field of seed production and seed multiplication and trade. So this also gives confidence. When you work with such organizations, you create confidence not only among other stakeholders, but also with the beneficiaries or the people we work with. They can easily, what do I say, they can easily accept the innovations because they are coming from such entities. Finally is about pushing for policy change. If we work with government, it is easier to push for policy change, but also working with a number of stakeholders in the multi-stakeholder forum makes it easier for these activities or these aspects of policy to be mainstreamed. I want to mention that it's not only learnings from big organizations that can push for policy, but even working with the small multi-stakeholder platforms generate a lot of knowledge, but also generate a lot of discussions and dialogue that can really influence policy change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What I'm hearing is that expertise, again, are important, complementarities, and an extra level, which is, if we work together, we're going to influence policy better, right? Because this is an harmonious process. Bimlek, you mentioned about effectiveness of partnerships. So the next question for you three is, how do you measure this effectiveness when you're working under sometimes difficult conditions? You know, we know that the DeSIRA projects operate sometimes in regions where it's hard to go and work. Ethiopia is a case, several cases in Central America. So how do you measure the effectiveness of the partnerships? I'm not talking about indicators that you have to fill out in the law frame, but you know, other things that sometimes can be measurable.
I think it goes down to flexibility and having some sort of feedback. I think usually when you're working in multi-stakeholder platforms, you're also there, if you're working in a single area and a single subject, there is going to be a chance definitely for you to integrate your efforts and for you to work together. But the things after you're implementing the project, the feedback comes later on. But then having feedbacks shortly, trying to understand what one is lacking and what the other can be able to provide, I think would be key, so that you can understand your problems early on and try to solve them as you go. And so I think one of the things is feedback, and the other is flexibility in your approach into implementing your projects. Yes, you might have an idea of how it's going to go, but when you go to the field, when you go to the ground, things are usually going to change, are not going to be as you imagine them. And so having some sort of flexibility and feedback, I think, helps to make sure that your projects can reach a level of effectiveness, although it's not going to be as you always initially imagine.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Flexibility and feedback from the constituency. That's a good point. Let's go to Julius.
Yes, I think how we can easily measure the success of these partnerships or platforms is, one is through looking at the quality of contribution among members. You can always see that this is a healthy relationship by the quality of contributions that is being made by each of those institutions. But also, in most cases, if it is working, then each and every organization or partner will give their whole. So it is easier to say this is working. Number two is the level of coordination and efficiency in delivering each and every of the platform's members. So if you are able to identify that the quality of how efficient these activities are being carried out, then you are able at your level as at a project to really gauge and know that this thing is moving in the right direction. Number three is about key outputs, not the ones you put in the in the log frame, but already there are indicators that you're moving towards success along the way. So you can always look at some indicators that all the partners are pulling in the right direction, and everybody is focused on the goal or the impact of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius. The quality of the results from the partners, this is extremely important. Bekele, please.
Yeah, thank you. The partners, about the partnership effectiveness, already these partners are engaged during the project start, and they know who will do what, and what the boundaries of the joint and individual boundaries of the tasks and the responsibilities. And therefore, there are also, in this partnership arrangement, there is a coordination meeting we have. The leaders of each implementing partners do meet quarterly basis or every 4 months to identify, to pass strategic decisions to make the project move forward. These are the leaders. We call them senior management team. The second team arrangement is senior technical team, me, myself, and my colleague here, Atofik Adu, and others. We are senior technical team looking after day-to-day project activities, agenda identifications, wherever challenges exist, then we can decide technically what we can within our domain. Otherwise, we pick up few strategic agendas and present to the senior management team. And then we meet frequently than the senior management team. Those people who are working at the field level, they do have field technical team also. They are working with the farmers. We do have innovation facilitators, development agents. Not only that, also in this FF arrangement, we have farmers field facilitators. The farmers facilitators we have for our particular project, and then when they get something from the field area, they do have monthly regular field technical team meeting. This is the way to avoid conflicts before it originates, or if originated early, and we are trying to give early solutions by our own and just redirecting the issue towards achieving the project goals. And therefore, up to this stage we are, honestly to say, we are conflict-free move for our projects, and also through this process we are also learning one another. How to solve problem, how to avoid problem, how to achieve, how to redirect and move towards achieving this big goal is also our main target, and we do not consider the side agendas. with regards to this business.
Thank you, Bekele. You're using functional skills like coordination,
Yes.
like avoiding conflict, like
Yes.
reading the environment.
Yeah, we
at
have
a different
functional
levels.
structure,
At
definitely.
different levels.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
thank you very
regularly
much.
functional structure.
Okay, so the final question on my part is about sustainability of the platforms. You know, these projects, most DeSIRA projects are ending this year, next year. What's going to happen next with the platform? So, Bekele, what's going to happen?
If we are again, there are a lot of activities with regards to our EU DeSIRA project. There are a lot of huge activities which cannot end, which cannot, yield the last impact during the project life. We are struggling. Land restoration is a continuous, climate change is continuous, livelihood. There are a lot of integrated activities that we are making it moving, where we, the team, are learning. We hope if EU gonna grant us, extend this our project, we are very energetic and happy enough to be more engaged with more knowledge and more energy and more motivation, because we are learning from our previous backs and ups. And also, definitely we will have a part of impacts, intermediate outcomes we will see with our beneficiaries. Not only IPs are engaging in this project, the whole government structure from federal down to the community level are engaging, the participatory engagement is higher compared to other projects. These are some sustainability indicators for us.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Julius.
Okay, thanks. The big question about sustainability is, for our project, we have put several structures, both at national and the county or district level, if you like. And the kind of working relationship that we have cultivated with the county governments is that most of our activities are coalesced around a county government structure called CASCOM, Kenya County Agriculture Sector Steering Committee, so which brings all the projects, all the activities together and all the partners together. So we are quite confident that by mainstreaming our innovations and our partnership, the landscape level multi-stakeholder platforms, which have SMEs and farmers, agropastoralists, and other actors, can easily continue to work with the CASCOM mechanisms of the county. That also gives us a lot of confidence because we have made a bit of influencing with the counties to ensure that the county integrated development plans, which are 5-year planning structures by government, are also embedded within the CASCOM structure, so that the counties can fund the CASCOM and then these activities can continue. At the national level, we are working closely with KEFIS and CALRO. CALRO and KEFIS will permanently be there unless an act of parliament disbands them, but we are a bit confident that our policy work, our coordination work is going to be domiciled in these institutions, and they'll continue to carry the banner of these innovations when the project ends next year.
Perfect. So
Thank
I'm
you.
hearing institutionalization of all these efforts. Dimlak.
On our specific project, some of the things that we've been working on to ensure the sustainability is, one, in terms of growing our community of practice, which is always going to be there and is always going to keep growing, including more experts that are involved in the field of women and coffee, and also existing ones that we've been able to develop through the project. That's one way we plan to create and transfer knowledge sustainably. And the other is we have been able to provide different machineries for cooperative, women-owned cooperatives, and so the hulling machines, processing machines, and things like that. So they will continue to use those machines and the trainings that they've got in post-harvest management, in agronomy. This would also help them to improve their quality of their coffee and also potentially get more income from what they're doing. So it will grow sustainably and it will continue to benefit their cooperative. And the other is when giving trainings, we also try to concentrate on trying to make the trainees trainers at some point. And so we have been giving foundation level trainings, intermediate and professional, so that the women that are being trained in the professional level can go ahead and give that training to women around their area. And so these things will help us, once the project is not there anymore, the women can still continue to train, continue to produce good quality coffee, and somehow influence their economic benefits.
Three important points. Equipment for the women, especially, training, and an effort to do training or trainers, and also, providing opportunities so that they can continue. Okay, so I would
Can
like
I
now
add some
to
few words?
Yes, please go ahead.
Through this participatory engagement, both the government experts, especially down those experts closer to the community, plus community organizations, farmers, field school, the beneficiaries, we are looking the signs of, the ownership of the project results. Now we are looking, number one, if the ownership sense we develop, whether we present there or not, they can continue. This is our hope. There is a good initiative we are looking. Secondly, there are scaling up, takeaway initiatives, both by the government as well as by the farmers, by our farmers. For example, it is common for coffee, baluch, and good agricultural practices. Half of current our farmers are taking the models from demonstration site to their own field or by their own. So all these are, the sustainability indicators, and then also, as Bamlak mentioned, we invested a lot on the community training, on the facilitator training, farm tour libraries, not individual basis, but on organizational basis. So this all will initiate to run, to take away during maybe the phasing out of the project, and therefore already the ownership transfer and the scaling up initiatives are good signs of these sustainability indicators.
Perfect, Dekele. So working at the community level is so important. Okay, we're going to open the floor for questions. So any questions to the panelists or complementarities? Let's pass that mic around, please. I'm just going to ask you to be brief in your question, because we would like to hear more voices.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, actually, my question is, we should not expect the same platform at the end of the project, because the project has resources.
Good point.
But, if we put government institutions at the center of in such platform, because they have regular budget, they have also several other platforms locally run, so it can be accommodated there. Otherwise, what Bekele said, we should not expect continuous project. We have to push to adopt that. If it is a best practice, I think the government institution, they will adopt it.
Okay.
So I think it's a matter of, convincing, institutions that are permanently working with the farmers or with the stakeholders you have. Otherwise, projects are temporary anyway.
Like Julius mentioned, institutionalization. Any reactions from the panel to this? So what our colleague is saying, the partnership might not continue, but what is important is that there is some ground level traction from the government, from the municipalities. Any reaction from the panel?
It is right that Brooke has mentioned. We think that actually. So at the phasing out of the project, at least it will not maintain the whole resources moving, but those part of activities or full of activities also mainstreaming into government organization is part of our deliverables. So then they can take it away with, after the ending project, with reduced support from our side, because they should take over more time and more engagement. So that is right.
Okay.
We accept.
Okay. Let's hear Julius, and then I'll give you, and you. Okay.
Yeah, just to add something on the aspect of sustainability. I think we have forgotten to mention the role of private sector. Very important, because if we are working towards, I have had most of the projects that we are discussing here have a livelihood component, but also have some enterprise or private sector or profit-making component. So I think that also one of the critical things to ensure that these things, these activities continue, is by empowering the private sector to take on some of these innovations. Thank you.
Private sector involvement. Okay. You're first, you're next. Yeah, go on.
Yes, just to a very quick comment, I think, on the effectiveness of the partnerships. I think if you look at just the enthusiasm with which the different players are participating in that partnership, the willingness to cooperate, if those two are right, it means that thing is working. It is working. And number two, on the sustainability, there must be mutual benefit between all the organizations. And if that can be guaranteed, with or without the project, those people can continue. But they will not continue beyond the project if the participants there feel there is nothing for them. My take.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's hear here. Can you pass the mic? Yeah. Please, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. In our case, we are trying the best for the beneficiaries to own the project through the structures that we have. We are working with the groups. So from the formulation to the implementation, and after the project time, they are the key people working the project. And we expect at the end of the project, what we have done will continue. But most important is the strengthening of the farmers' organization, technically and financially, so that when the project is over, it will take over the roles of the project. Thank you.
Exactly. That is one of the particularities of the 40 projects, right? That they are really farmer-led.
Farmer-led, yes.
You want to say,
yes,
compliment
yeah, just to add on to that, of course, yeah, the issues around the governance you just mentioned, but also on the shared ownership is very, very critical. And because in our case, where the farmers are basically the drivers of this whole process, there's what you call the continuous value creation, whereby they come up with relevant material that is actually key to their own needs, you know. And then also when you move forward, there's issues around the capacity building and knowledge sharing, where, like, for example, in the Fori project in Tanzania, we have the women who are spearheading advocacy issues around the project. Like the farmer managed seed systems, for example, they are championing that themselves up to the national level. So I think in terms of sustainability, the way we've structured the program by, as Castori has said, in terms of cementing or strengthening the organizational development of the farmer cooperatives. So they own this process from the onset. Then that way, because they see the benefit of it, continuation is, with or without the funding, it's going to continue. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Joe. Let's do this. We have 2 more interventions. Do I have more time for another round of questions after this? Meaning, I don't have time.
I think this is extremely interesting, but this can be carried forward.
Yes.
In the next.
Okay, excellent. So
I think we're striking a very important point.
By IUCN. This has really been really helpful in terms of translating what has been found through research into the real, the practical work on the ground. So now we're feeling a pressure. The government is telling us, when are you translating what you have found through research into the real action? So I think this is a good point to highlight. So that link could be highlighted and emphasized on to ensure that there is that link between ownership of the government and also what we expect to see materializing. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's make a note of that because this is a really key point. And the final intervention goes to, I think it was you, right? Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I don't know your name, but go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Tesfai from Ethiopia. So I am interested to share regarding the sustainability. Should scale out through this and institutionalization strategy developed at project level together with our partners. So one of it is, for example, work with private sector, for example, to establish supply chain